I was relentless. They would call me Nando the Relentless. Because I just never relent.
You're listening to League Podcast Vampire Council, Episode 8. A What We Do in the Shadows podcast. Season 2, Episode 10, the finale of Season 2. Nouveau Théâtre Des Vampires. Something like that. I'm Matt Dursin.
The Inferno, the grand finale.
And I'm Sam Furst. Dark greetings, fellas.
Dark greetings, of course. Dark greetings to you, and also unto you, Dursin.
Yes, and also with you. So here we are. Yeah, the end of the season. Boy, that just fly by.
Yeah, the pretty bummed out that we're at the end here.
I know, and who knows when.
In memoriam to we could have an in memoriam video for the last 2 seasons in the movie. You know,
yeah, just like they had in the episode where they had. Season 2, and we know we're getting a season 3 at some point, but we don't know when things are going to start being made again. So I don't know.
Right.
Could be a lot.
You can't exactly be sucking on people's necks in this day and age, in this economy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're definitely not social distancing. You're standing close enough to them to suck the blood out of their neck.
It's true.
But it's okay. Like, and on a positive note, it was a very funny episode. So, try to keep it positive.
I mean, we're going to be a little bummed out. I mean, it's been a good season. I do think that overall, this was, considering how good most of the episodes of this season were, this was a little bit of a whimper, honestly.
Yeah, it didn't go out with a bang. Like, it went. I agree with you, especially since we had high expectations.
We're saying just before we got on here though, I think I liked our draft picks way more than what we actually got because we didn't really get any cameos except for Jermaine or Vladislav, the poker. But he was fucking great, of course. Right. You know what I mean? That was awesome to see him, and we're just we're mourning because we don't. This is one of my joys of my week is getting on with you guys to either talk about this or Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. This has been it's been a nice little distraction from all the troubles in the world. So. But,
I mean, I guess we started this like pretty much right at the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah. I think that's why our episode numbering is messed up too, because we had to cram in the first 3 the first episode of this show.
Yeah. I think they did. They released 2 at once though, didn't they?
I think they did. A lot of people saw 1 and 2 on the same night.
Yeah. Very interesting. But we'll get a season 3 at some point, hopefully. But for now, yes, we would just mourn the loss.
And lots of praise, like lots of articles that people are sharing in the groups that are just saying like, this is the funniest show on TV. People are realizing it now. Like, these guys are geniuses. This is exactly what we need right now. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. And I will. I also want to. So this episode does deliver on we've been building up Guillermo, like, what's going to happen all season, and this delivers. He's really he really comes through here. Like, I mean, he's basically the star. The vampires are funny in this episode. Like, they have their lines and it's great, but like, he's the star. This one is kind of the Guillermo show, so I was very happy to see that. So yeah, let's start with our little recap. Starts out, Nandor can't get out of his coffin. He's calling for Guillermo. He thinks Guillermo is sitting on it.
Yeah. I was
I
trying to
love
think
it.
if that was like a fat shaming thing, but I think it was kind of just like if anybody was sitting on it, it would make it harder
Right.
for anyone to get out of their coffin.
But I think it might be kind of, Guillermo is a little round. But even so, he doesn't want anybody sitting on it, right? So, and then he finally pushes it open. Guillermo's not there. He wants help getting down the stairs. He can't even walk. There's like little steps, like some people have for their pets, like to jump on the bed. Like if you see these
Oh yeah.
this little dog.
And then he kind of just
staircase.
thinks that he's playing like hide and seek with him. And he, kind of goes to try to
Yeah.
find him.
And of course, he then inevitably finds that note that just simply says, "Sorry."
Sorry. Yeah. And Guillermo is gone.
Now, I will say that it seemed more like I kind of felt like this came out of nowhere, considering how involved with the household Guillermo was last week.
Right.
So, on the witches episode, they sort of end where he's got this whole new business worked out that would, potentially require him to be in the household.
Right.
So,
selling their semen around, right? Yeah, selling
Stuff
their
is everywhere.
ejaculate. Yeah. And also because a couple weeks ago, they kind of made up.
mhm.
Like he made up with Nandor. He gets his day off, gets his 15-minute breaks every 4 hours.
Yep.
But yeah, he decided to leave. So, it did kind of come out of nowhere, but I guess 10 years.
11 years.
11 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, when they come back from the opening credits, it's been a week and there are dead bodies all over the house.
And there was I was listening to it on my headphones, and it was just like so many flies sound effects, like panning all over the place. So many flies and dead corpses, and Nadia's like, "We're fine. It's good to have the house to ourselves."
Yeah.
But
As I predicted, it's fine without Guillermo. And there's a fire. There's some candles were left burning in
Yeah. The candles are burning a hole in the wall, in the hallway, and everybody's clothes are dirty, so they're all wearing random shit. And Nandor has on his Dream Team jersey with a puffy shirt underneath it.
It's Michael Jordan. It's actually a Michael Jordan shirt, which is great.
yeah, he had to take it out of he was like framed on the wall, I think. In another episode.
Wasn't he wearing it when he went to go for his citizenship?
Oh yeah, I think he was. Yeah, you're right. He's wore it some other time.
Laszlo's pants are great too. They sort of
because
track pants.
Celtics fans fucking breakaway Adidas sweat. What do you call those? Jogging pants or something?
Athletic pants.
Yeah. Leisure wear or whatever you call it. Soft
joggers or jogging.
Yeah. Might be jogging. Might be a soft J. But anyway, yeah, Nadia thinks it's fine. We're fine without Guillermo. Colin Robinson slips on a blood. He calls it human juices.
A huge
gotta clean up.
Chase.
Yeah.
Huge pratfall, like a big one. He was like, whoop. There was like a couple of pratfall kind of things.
I think he says, "What in Sam Hill," which is just it's like great old school Stan Lee type of dialogue, like something J. Jonah Jameson would say. What in Sam Hill?
Yeah, totally like a cartoon. Or I feel like who's the Warner Brothers cartoon with the guns that they just took
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam. Say Sam Hill all the time.
Oh, yeah, I love Yosemite Sam. So they need their clothes back, then they want to get in touch with Guillermo, but they don't. So, well, first Nandor suggests he breaks out his cellular phone and takes a picture of him having fun so he can send it to him. Which is, I'm actually impressed Nandor knows that much about technology that you can send photos. But so Colin Robinson asks what his last name is. He doesn't know.
Nobody knows.
He doesn't know his number. They don't know. They have this big debate over Guillermo's last name.
Which actually I knew because of it's never in the show, but it pops up in a behind the scenes thing because the guy Harvey who plays Guillermo, he thought it'd be really funny if his last name was De La Cruz, which is of the cross.
Oh, very. So he kind of came up with that on his own.
Yeah,
Harvey Ian. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So Van Helsing would have been a bit much. They probably would have said, "I don't think we're going to hire you, Guillermo Van Helsing."
But clearly, they don't know anything. They know nothing about him. In fact, they don't know his last name. They don't know. Obviously, they don't know his phone number. So they're kind of just stuck. And actually, I like Colin Robinson says, "I'll go pick up the clothes, but it's gonna be a lot." Oh, like he doesn't want to make it seem like it's a big deal. But
yeah,
all he wants
I might die. I might not return. They're like, "We don't want you to hurt yourself, Colin Robinson."
But all he wants in return is to move to another room in the basement. So
Nandor's about to give him his room.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just want.
If I do you this kindness, will you do one in return to me? They're like, anything you want, Colin Robinson. I want to move to a room. He says, I want to
move out of my room in the basement. He's like, oh, you can have my room. He's like, no, I want to move into the other room in the basement.
I think Laszlo goes, do that now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go do that now.
I know that was a great line. Like, go do that now. I also like that they kind of make fun of Colin Robinson's voice. Like they kind of make fun of his nerdy white man voice.
Oh, when Laszlo is like going back and forth with him, making fun of him, like it was so funny.
But he kind of sounded like in an Indian guy, like a Apu kind of Indian.
I think he's trying to make him sound more squeaky. Yeah, but it's I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious because they were talking about getting the door right. The doorbell rings and why don't you get it? Why don't you get it? You know, like
the vampires go and do it. They go to open the door and they can't figure it out. And Colin Robinson tells them to pull, but only after under his breath going, "I would have done it. I wanted to do it."
So there's a guy with an invitation.
A FedEx vampire.
Yeah.
As listed in the credits. And then he did have fangs.
Yes, he is a FedEx vampire.
But they are you sure he had fangs? Because they hypnotized him.
Well, I don't know. I vampire FedEx man. I don't know. I think he was because he wasn't true. He wasn't really a FedEx guy. He was inviting them into the trap, really. So I think he was.
But it doesn't need to be a vampire to invite them. They could just FedEx it to them. They're obviously dumb enough that they're going to just open the invitation that they got. It doesn't need to be delivered by anybody special.
I think I saw fangs. Is all I'm gonna say. I think I saw fangs. I could be wrong.
All I know, IMDb says vampire FedEx man, played by Alistair Forbes. That's all I know. I think Clay might be right on this.
But you know, it's funny when we were looking at the IMDb this time. It was like nobody. It was exciting, really, to talk about.
Yeah, nobody really of note.
No, except Jermaine.
I mean? They flash back to the finale of last year.
That's true.
Show,
But yeah, as you say, Laszlo does try to hypnotize him to say, "You never saw us wearing any of our clothes. Like you never saw us wearing these clothes." Basically,
he wants him to forget. He says, "You will remember nothing about us especially with what we're wearing. Like,
Laszlo does some funny things too, like he's like it's Nando's like it's cold in here, and then Laszlo just starts taking apart the piano and breaking it into throwing it into the fire, and then when he realizes like whatever shit is getting fucked up, he just kicks in a big hole in his own wall. It's like,
yeah, I don't really care. But yeah, he just starts burning. Like you let the fire go down, so he just starts burning whatever he can. So yeah, he breaks up his piano.
but yeah, I mean, this was a nice little kind of insight into like how much they actually all rely on Guillermo, and to show that he was still an important part, and obviously Nandor is pretty upset about all of this.
They've all probably had servants for like centuries. They've even if slaves or like actual servants or maids or familiars like for a really long time. They're not used to like not having one.
Mm-hmm.
No, one of the things they suggest is that Guillermo might have taken their clothes to the river to clean them. That's how long it's been since they washed clothes, that people were still washing their clothes in a river. So yeah, it's pretty hilarious. But I also like before we get too far ahead, I like that Nadia says that like, what good is a familiar? Where do they live? Like 100, 200 years? She doesn't even know how long people live. That she asked the cameraman how old he is. She's like, what are you, 90? And he says he's 26. And she's like, oh, 26.
Do you have long to go? Then?
Yeah, I think
she still has no idea that 26 is young.
Well, anyway, so yeah, the invitation that the FedEx guy drops off is to the Nouveau Théâtre des Vampires. And I don't know if I said that anywhere close to right, but that's okay. But it's a vampire theater. Apparently, every 5 years they have this swanky theater event, and only the most important vampires get to go. And this is the first time that these three have been invited. And Lazo's very excited because there's supposed to be a lot of nudity.
What does he say? Not just a hint of tit, but a full rack and
full boobies, boners.
Full boobies, full boobies, full boners.
Yeah. He says like 3 different ways. Yeah, like there's all kinds of like he keeps making reference to the nudity. So yeah. So then that's when Colin Robinson offers to go get their clothes because they can't go in what they're wearing, obviously. So then we find out where Guillermo has been. He's home with his mom.
Oh, isn't that nice? In the Bronx.
Yeah. Now I don't speak any Spanish, right? I don't know. They didn't give any subtitles to any of that stuff.
You just asked us if you spoke any Spanish, right?
I think they're.
So I didn't know how to.
I assume. Right?
Oh yeah, they were speaking Spanish, but I don't know what they were saying.
Well, okay, I don't. I didn't know if you guys had any idea either.
It's just the way you said it. It sounded funny. It's like, is it?
I
know Spanish?
I don't know. I didn't want to make an assumption. I assumed Guillermo and his mom were speaking Spanish. That's all I'm saying. But so he was struggling. It wasn't because he felt that Nandor was, not treating him well, but he left because he's still struggling with this vampire slayer heritage, thing, and he doesn't know. There's even a shot of him with a sword standing behind Laszlo and Nandor, kind of like looking almost like he was going to cut their head off, and then thought better.
But he was like polishing the sword, and then he kept his daily duties. He kept getting distracted by like being like the camera crew looks at him. He's like, no, I'm just polishing the sword. I'm not gonna kill them, or am I?
Well, he said that. He said it was getting in the way of his daily duties.
Nadia was sitting there like polishing like a horse, like sculpture. I was like, what are they doing? It wasn't anything great.
Yeah. So, anyways, his mom's fridge breaks, and he offers to go back to Staten Island to get his mini fridge.
Over.
And yeah, and he goes back to the house. He finds they're gone because they've gone to the theater, and there's dead bodies everywhere. And he sees the doll Nadia is there, and she tells him that's where they went. And he finds the invitation, and he sees that it's an obvious trap by the Vampire Council.
Well, because it has the big
us.
logo. Not as cool as
Yeah.
Sam's logo for our show, but they have their own logo, I guess, they use in the show with the V, with the Vampire Council or whatever. It's not as cool as ours, but you know,
Yeah,
it's
ours
in
is
there.
way better.
They should have that in there. You know, I'm gonna put it there.
Good.
Yeah, put Sam's logo in there, of course. So he's like, oh no, like now they're going, because he remembers they had sentenced him to death, and he has, so
But
he's like, I
the
gotta go
Nadia
see.
doll says, she's like, they're having a great time without you. Such a dick. And then
I know, I love the Nadia doll.
I hate to go back like a few frames, but when he was talking to his mom, he was like, it was actually my friend Topher's mini fridge. He was dead.
Yeah, he's dead
not
now. Oh, well, not really
he,
dead, but-
well he used
Well,
to
he
be
was
dead.
dead.
So like saying he's undead, like he used to be dead. He's it was just like, oh, thank God they're going back to Topher, because he was
I
funny.
forgot about that.
Come on, and he's like, high five, and he breaks his arm.
So yeah, this is when I thought we would get our cameo party, but they were in the theater. They have seats like very close to the front. Colin Robinson even makes a great Bob Uecker reference. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember that commercial
From the 80s. Must be in the front row. I think it was
Well,
Budweiser.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that Colin Robinson is wearing a beige tuxedo?
He's like, I hate these seats. You haven't even seen the seats yet. And the vampires outside give the camera crew their media passes.
The media.
You're gonna need these. Don't ever take them off, because if you know how it is, Sam, backstage. You don't have the right pass, and you're getting booted out of there or eaten by a vampire.
Right.
I just thought it was hilarious that they had media badges.
Yeah, exactly. Secret entrance, very cool.
Yeah, this is a very elaborate setup for when the only thing is just to kill these 4 vampires. Like, it's pretty
well. So I mean, the background. I mean, they talk about it. They talk about the history of this event and how it's from all over Europe, which means that technically they're trying to actually tie it in with the same show that appears in Interview with the Vampire, as we've been discussing.
Yeah, you were talking about that last week.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's they kind of just were playing off of that. But I love this setup. I mean, the stage has these little bat lamps.
Oh, didn't you love that? The footlights.
The footlights were all little bats. It was awesome.
And the vampires were cool, but they weren't famous people. But they did look cool.
No. But so then Colin Robinson was talking about there's heavy hitters from the energy vampire field as well.
Yeah.
Pamela. Todd Smith.
He points over to Todd Smith and he's like, "What does he say?" He said, "I saw him naked once." Is that what he said?
Yeah, I saw him naked once.
I love that the name is Todd Smith too. It's like the most boring name. I apologies to anyone out there named Todd Smith, but that's a pretty generic name.
Please, if your name is Todd Smith, please leave us an iTunes review.
Yeah, that'd be great.
For free. I'll give you $100.
It's even more generic than Colin Robinson. Like how much of a name could? But yeah, I saw him naked is a great line.
Pamela.
I love it. It's like he's a famous person that you saw naked. Yeah, and Pamela. Well, she just, that goes without saying, or whatever. He says something like that. Like, well, like.
Oh no, he's just like. He's like, it's Pamela, guys. Pamela. Like he doesn't.
Don't embarrass me in front of Pamela. How it's
yeah.
So then there's like an elaborate like setup about like, oh, and when you kill a vampire, when you kill one of your own kind, you have to be killed and all that, and like, yeah, and of course Jermaine Clement is the master of ceremonies here. I mean, I assume playing
Vladislav the Poker.
Oh,
right.
Yes, he's of course Vladislav, and he's like, they recognized him from the Vampire Council.
Yeah. Yes.
And
they did a dark reading.
Yeah. They get ambushed and wrapped in what I'm guessing is silver rope.
Right. Yeah, they never really said.
And then they proceed to get shown this farce of, well, certain parts are a farce, and other parts are very truthful of them,
some famous scenes from this season.
Famous scenes from last season, which makes it even better, is that they reenacted these and they have these like sort of look-alike actors dressed as them, which
and
fucking
they had,
I mean that cracked me up.
Last week Nadia had Nadia has a doll, and Nadia had somebody make
she's had two lookalikes now.
Last week, and then this week, and also she says something about it not looking like her, and like we wouldn't dance around like tits. Something that Laszlo said.
Oh, that was
all they can do is make fun of their
except Colin Robinson, who says my reenactor is giving me kind of a chub,
like, yeah, he's giving him a chub. But like they don't even really get it. I love it. It's like it's so like they still don't really get that we're going to kill you now. But yeah, it's very elaborate. When they cut off a vampire's head, they have this like fake streamers. Like, I mean, these streamers come out to make it look like blood.
Creepy paper.
Yeah, that's crepe paper. And but it's all stuff that Vladimir, it's all stuff that Guillermo did pretty much. Like they talk about that family.
Well, yeah. So they bring up the family, which So I will say, and I had to ask you guys: did you either of you do the challenge? Did you guys watch every episode leading up to this at all?
Oh no, I didn't do the challenge. I didn't do
the challenge. I don't feel bad then. I feel a little bad.
I completely forgot about that.
You both should feel bad. So, well, I did.
I didn't see it too long ago, and now I don't have anything, so I gotta watch it again.
Yeah.
Failed the challenge.
Well, so I did go back and I watched, and it was really kind of fun to rewatch season 1, having seen almost all of season 2, and see a lot of the jokes that they kind of laid the groundwork for in season 1, very, very like casually, and then brought back for more jabs this season. And even the Guillermo actually has this whole like solo speech part where he's talking about working at Panera. So that was established in season 1.
Right.
Panera bread you shall return.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too. Like I like that they say that like, oh, we didn't do it. We didn't kill any of these vampires. And Colin Robinson says, well, I don't know. You guys go on a lot of little side trips without me. Like, so I love that Colin Robinson.
This all seems like stuff you guys would do without me.
Yeah, love that.
And he says that something at the end of season 1 too about that. Like, you guys, what are you guys even doing down there? You didn't even invite me on whatever you were doing. But just kidding.
Yeah.
He does save them, yeah.
Yeah.
But, even, in the episodes where Guillermo is doing the DNA tests, Nandor starts getting like a little cagey about it because witches had stolen his semen. And so they laid all the groundwork for even that. And I was just really surprised to see all that stuff. But then I even started thinking about that family. And this is where I was going with this, is that I rewatched those episodes with the family. And it's funny because you look at our hero's house and their style and everything, and it's all from the era that they came to the United States. You know, it's all 1800s and like Victorian era stuff, except for Nandor, who still dresses like a, you know, medieval conqueror kind of guy.
Persian Frank
kind
Zappa.
of like, you know, Persian Frank Zappa, and but that whole family and that whole house was super 70s, like 60s, 70s styled, and everybody in the house was that. And I just thought it was a kind of an interesting, like,
it's kind of like
juxtaposition.
Brady Bunch, kind of.
Well, like,
but
so,
it,
like,
but
in
I
this
mean, like,
world,
everything.
if you're a vampire, you just kind of stick with your era, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
whatever era
Yeah.
that you.
Well, I mean, we also know well established that there's Mr. 50s. So, you know, from the gang, the crew,
The
Mr.
crew.
50s. You know, so obviously there is some truth to that, where it's like they tend to stick with whatever era they
I saw it
turned
pop
into.
up somewhere called it the Hustler family. I don't know if that says that on IMDb, but that's what they called it.
I don't think they ever had any lines. I don't know. The Hustler family. That's funny. But yeah, they show all this stuff, and you know, all this stuff that Guillermo did, and on the in the stage version, it's the our four heroes, as Sam pointed out, doing all the killing.
And Vladislav is kind of doing like these sing-songy raps, but it's only like one line at a time. And Colin Robinson said, I think they're kind of going for a Hamilton vibe. And there's like a great Wu-Tang joke. And Lazo said, I don't smell any Wu or a Tang.
I think he makes a joke about the rhyme. He's like, that's kind of a ham-fisted rhyme or something like that too. I love that.
Bring
all
the
they can do is make fun of the show, even though they're being held captive.
I noticed that the Nadja look-alike too. And Nadja's like, she's like, when I dance the oceans part or whatever, and then they show her, she was kind of doing an Elaine. Like
really?
Yeah,
like
a little bit.
It was like kind of it wasn't exactly an Elaine, like the foot wasn't sticking out, but like she was doing that. She was like,
it was
like,
pretty ridiculous.
You have a problem with the choreography?
Yeah. So I think one of my favorite. They finally Vlad demonstrates what they're going to do. They have like 4 dummies on the stage, and a big blade comes and cuts their heads
That was
clean
so
off.
funny.
And he says, "Well, while we reset the blade thing, we're going to show this video."
An in memoriam video.
The in memoriam video
for all the vampires that had been lost that year, and which were all the ones that Guillermo, except for one who I can't remember what he had some sort of stupid accident. But
no, he
you know,
said that Jermaine Clement is so funny during this because he's like, Carol comes up, he's like, met her once. And then he has something a little say about everything. He died because he got confused about daylight saving time.
Yeah, he's got a little comment about, I forgot he died. Like, you know, because that's what they show like, that
nobody liked him.
Yeah.
Nobody liked him anyways. So.
But yeah, I love Carol was on there. Oh, poor Carol. So meanwhile, while all this is going on, we should point out Guillermo had snuck into the theater. He climbed on the roof, which was great, and he's like, "Made it!" Like he's
like, "Hell yeah!" Because like the documentary crew is like following him. They don't, and he's like, "Yeah, those guys just saw me scale this building. Like I'm pretty badass." He's like, "Hell yeah!"
So Guillermo is watching this from the rafters. So they've got them all tied up on the stage. They're getting the blade thing ready, and like Nandor is trying to plead for his life, and he says that we didn't do any of that. My familiar did. And he says, and he's so
Guillermo
is listening to him, to them not know his name. He's like,
still don't know his last name.
Yeah,
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Or was it? No, sorry, Mickey Guillermo.
Mickey Guillermo. Yeah, that's what he's. Maybe Guillermo's
There's
last
even
name.
4 Mickey Guillermos.
I was hoping he would call him Gizmo, but he didn't call him Gizmo. But that's okay.
Colin Robinson does. He goes, "You killed Gizmo?" Because he like looks at Nandor. He's like, "What the hell, man?"
Oh
Like,
well,
that's
yeah.
kinda, he
I
goes,
mean, I
that's
guess we
kind of
should
harsh.
talk about that. Where Nandor he's like, I know exactly who did all of these things. You know, it was my familiar Guillermo, and and he kind of he's sort of pouring his heart out about it, and he's sort of showing that he is real hurt and he really does actually seem to care about Guillermo. And
Right.
Vladislav
then at
says
the same
you're
time,
kind of getting into your personal things here.
Yeah, you're getting your personal feelings here. But because for a second Guillermo was like kind of thinking like I think it's almost like if you can't even remember my last name, I'm not even gonna save you guys or whatever. But when Nandor starts to pour his heart out, I think that's what finally does it. And yeah, Guillermo finally jumps out of the rafters and just starts fucking killing everything in sight. Vlad gets away. He bats out of there, so that's good.
And there was a funny thing earlier where he like was zipping across the stage and everyone's like, "Woo!" And he's like, "It's not a big deal, we can all do it. We're vampires."
I know, but like they're like, "Oh, he's good." Oh yeah, he's good.
Like, no, it's not a big deal. We all do this.
But he turns into a bat. He gets out of it. Meanwhile, all these other vampires and Guillermo has holy water. He's got wooden stakes. He's got cross. He's got a cross. He's got everything, and he is just like he's like going Rambo on their ass. It's pretty funny, and they're all kind of like shocked because they had no idea he could do this.
Yeah, and then it's such a bloody thing that the camera guy gets knocked down because there still seems like there's like maybe 20 vampires that he hasn't killed yet, and then the camera guy gets knocked down, and then they like put the camera back up, and it goes glitchy. It's like calibrating.
Yeah,
and
calibrating.
But then they just show it's like everyone is decimated. They show some guy's boot, there's blood dripping off of it. It was so good.
And Guillermo is standing tall above this pile of dead vampire bodies. And then, in the great moment, Nandor says, "Guillermo, do you have something you want to tell us?" And Guillermo's
and then and he announces, "I am Guillermo de la Cruz."
Yeah.
And what are they? It's met with what did he say?
Nandor's like, "I don't give a fuck what your name is. We have to pick up our own laundry."
Yeah, I think they don't really care.
Is there something you want to tell us? And then, Guillermo de la Cruz, and then we had to pick up our own laundry, like fucking cut scene. They played that weird psychedelic song.
Yeah, then they just cut. Right. It just ends on like that weird, just like, we had to pick our own laundry. And that's it. But yeah, like Guillermo is like standing up for himself, kind of finally after all these years and everything, and he's just saved them, and he's been saving them this whole time. They don't even know it, but now they know.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's like he has this moment where he's telling them his last name, and he's standing tall and standing up for himself, and he's just like, "I don't give a fuck what your name is."
They show the Van Helsing thing too, like possible ancestor right then, or something.
Yes, that's right. And then, then it just ends like it's pretty hilarious.
A great punchline, like a really good solid joke to end on. Like I wasn't sad about that. I was like, that's great. These are open ended to the storyline, but it's like those guys are just so clueless. The vampires, that is.
It is pretty funny. But I mean, I guess like as most comedies, or it's almost like a Simpsons or something, where it's like season end, but like we're just going back to normal pretty much. Like nothing is really
Right.
changed.
Yeah.
Like, so I do like that. I mean, I assume Guillermo's just gonna come back to work. I don't know, maybe not,
Yeah.
but I assume he'll just come back. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely was pretty let down by this ending. I just kind of felt a little gypped. It was, I mean, I just wanted to see a little bit more of a resolution for Guillermo as far as like this struggle that he's going on. Instead, it's even more fucking complicated than it ever has been. Because now he's just slaughtered this entire room of vampires, and the vampires he's been living with know this. And it's like, how do you go anywhere with that at this point? I kind of, I thought I liked the Van Helsing gag, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I feel like they kind of painted themselves into a corner a little bit.
well, maybe they'll be nicer to him now that they know that he has the ability to kill them. Not even the ability, but just like they know that he's killed many, many vampires. I don't know. It's like there's I see what you're saying. I think there's comic potential in whatever they plan to do next. Whatever the plan is for next season. I think they could go either way. I guess, right? They could go and be like, okay, we'll be a little like tiptoe around Guillermo a little bit more, or they could just ignore it and just have a completely new storyline that never. I don't know. It could be. They could go either way, but I'm sure it'll be funny. But I know. I remember when I first saw it, my first reaction was, "Oh, that was a little weird." But I mean, I think upon further analysis, I'm fine. I think it's pretty funny. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to
Maybe they
see.
just have a different relationship with Guillermo, like in the future, like where he's like kind of he's like their protector and not their familiar, you know?
Well, maybe I don't know. Like, I mean, are they
He just
still
slaughtered a
wanted
bunch
by
of
the?
vampires from all over the world.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
Well,
mean.
that's what I
Like,
mean. Is like this seems like it's going to be more like, well, now Guillermo's going to probably have to be on the run, but I don't know, man. Like that's why this ending was kind of like, oh man, what the fuck? Like because it's so like non uh there's no resolution. There's absolutely no resolution.
I kind
And
of
that was,
think that go ahead. Yeah, yeah. So that was a
you know what I
letdown,
mean?
is what you're saying.
For me, yeah. Because I wanted to see a little bit more of a resolution as far as the just with uh his storyline. It just I just wanted to see a little bit more of a resolution, especially with like, we had such ups and downs, and we had the whole episode where he um left the house and got a little bit more respect in the house and things like that, and then he sort of had it figured out as far as his he started a business essentially, you know what I mean? And it's like then everything is out the window at the beginning of this episode.
yeah, that was completely not acknowledged. I mean, I wonder even if they filmed these sort of out of, they made, out of order or whatever, or I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, not even close. Like nothing really. It's funny how sometimes they call back stuff and some things are just forgotten, and that was forgotten. It's really strange.
I think I'm kind of like I hear what Matt's saying, and I think I understand it sort of like in the comic book way. Like you want to like when you put down the issue, like that last page is supposed to make you want to read next month's issue. And I feel like that's kind of what they did to us here, and I'm like sort of trained to that to be like, oh well, yeah, I guess hey, well, I gotta wait wait and see. Fuck, I wish it was coming out now.
Maybe, but there's like some closure, as well. But I mean, I can also say like I thought it was a weird ending too. I won't say that, but
Like after so many strong episodes, I think. Well, would we all just say this wasn't the number one of the 10 episodes we got? Probably for anyone,
no, it definitely was not. I mean, my number
It might
one
be
is.
number 10. It might be the worst episode of the season.
I don't want to go that far. I don't know. I
I
really thought.
I actually agree. I really do.
Because
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But obviously, my favorite is
like
the Mark
say,
Hamill.
Yeah, because it's hard to say that we've
Yeah.
not enjoyed any of them. So if we're even tilting toward that, like one of them wasn't really up to par, it's probably this one. And I don't want to
Yeah,
lag on it. And I'm not like giving it a bad review, but it's probably my least favorite of this season.
it might be. You're right. I haven't thought. The witches. I'm gonna go back a couple
I'm not
here.
making you guys agree with my things. It's not the vampire. This is Dark Greetings, everyone. Dark Greetings. This is the council, okay? What I say isn't, you got to put up to a vote.
There were some great. I mean, the Superb Owl Party.
Oh,
Like I said,
man.
the Mark Hamill one is definitely my favorite. By far.
I watched a Matt Berry interview today, or it was actually like it was all the guys, all the vampires, talking about the guests that they had. It's like a little YouTube promo, like on the whatever Hulu like YouTube page or whatever it is, and it was just funny because Matt Berry was like I was such an infant. This is so pathetic, but I got to stand there like holding a snooker cue like a lightsaber. And it was just like he was
Yeah.
like it was so great. He was like I'm so pathetic. He was like that was the best moment of my life. I'll never forget that.
A snooker cue. They're really great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, maybe it didn't end on the best note, but it was a great
We don't have
season.
to rank them 10 as only 10 episodes.
No, we don't want to
but
do
this
that.
one wasn't as good, in my opinion.
I'll give you
This
that.
wasn't as
I'll
good.
give you that. Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't
But
know. It
overall,
was, yeah, like I said, it was just for me. There wasn't enough of a resolution, and I really felt like this was a particularly short episode. It was 21 minutes,
oh, yeah, that is a little
and
short.
I felt like I was like, whoa, that's the end. Like, the second it ended, I was just totally kind of taken back by how short it was. But I, I love the show with all my heart. It is such a show that I
The best.
feel was really made for me. I felt that the same way as
It was.
about the movie when it came out,
was.
But I will tell you, like going back and watching all of them, it's like there's such a great. It just doesn't get old. Like no matter how like stupid the gags are, over and over, they're still funny.
Even
And
like the Jermaine Clement, like that line about him, we can all do it. We're vampires. It's like because like what makes it all funny is that like Nendoro's like, ooh, the shimmy on that guy. Flying around, but that like just having like one of the original vampires just say like a deadpan line like that. He's just so brilliant. It made me want to like watch like Flight of the Conchords again. Like I love that guy. He's so funny. The best.
yeah.
He is very, yeah, I like him a lot.
Well,
Yeah, he is very good.
Well, Clay has recently started to watch Toast of London.
I didn't think we were gonna
I-
go
I-
there on the show, but yes, Toast of London is great. It's a bit. I have to say that people like this show, the What We Do in the Shadow show. Like some Americans might not like how British it is, but
It's very British at times, but I mean,
it
oh my
is
god.
really fucking hilarious and so good. It looks like a Spike Jones video or something. Like it's really over the top. And they do
Oh, I
like all
like
these
Spike
musical
Jones.
numbers. Yeah, like it's visually it's like this. It's just crazy. And the
Yeah,
stories are
there's
insane.
visual, the musical
The
numbers
songs.
that come out of nowhere.
All right.
His general adventures are pretty wonderful, which is why when, as I've said, is like when they announced the casting for the show, I was deep in the Toast library, if you will, at that time, and I was
You were
super excited.
You're up to your rusty tits and toast.
Yep.
Is that a line from the show? Or is that just something you just came up with?
Oh, the rusty tits was from last week.
Right. I forgot. I'm sorry. Well, I will check it out.
Rusty tits and dry assholes. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, you know what, you guys? I've been wanting to say this for a little bit. I think that we should do a bonus episode because there is something really worth watching, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, and it's the original student film version of What We Do in the Shadows. And what about that for a challenge? Check that out. It's like 20 minutes
Yeah,
long.
I can check that out sometime. That's fine. I have never checked. Where is it?
It's on
It's
YouTube.
on
Oh.
it's on YouTube.
Oh, very good. Well, we'll have to.
You actually,
Yes.
if you go to our page on YouTube, I made a Vampire Council supplemental playlist, and it has a bunch of stuff in there. That's the first thing on it.
Oh my goodness. All right, I'll have to check that out, and yeah, we'll have to reconvene. But as far as this episode, I think, yeah. Do we have any final thoughts here, or I guess we've said all we really need.
I was like to see Jermaine. Like that was that was like the highlight. And even though we didn't get our our draft picks or any like the thousands of
Well,
cameos that we wanted,
I mean, season
it was
3 has
still
got to be bigger and better, you know.
they're
Yeah,
gonna
they
have
got
a
to
bigger
up the
budget
ante.
too. Most likely,
Hopefully, yeah.
if people are still making TV by then.
Well, yeah, hopefully. But I mean, overall, a great season. I know that the finale wasn't our favorite, but overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to catch up on all the episodes, they're all out there on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and whatever else, Stitcher, or you can go to leakpodcast.com and click on Vampire Council and click on a few other things while you're there. And while you're there, while you're cruising the webs, check out monstersaregood.com for Sam's stuff. Yeah, of course.
Well,
There's still a few masks left.
Oh, good.
So if you go to leakpodcast.com/fangs, FANGS, then
nice.
Scoop up.
Yeah, I mean, now you need them if you want to go out to eat.
Yeah,
it's true. And I might as well bring it up on here too. As of right now, I'm still raising money for the NAACP with my Monsters Are Against Racism items. There's pins, patches, and T-shirts available right now at
nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely check those out. Good work. Yeah.
Get me a shirt.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great cause. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you too. And yeah,
Vamp Council.
Yeah, Vamp Council season 2 for What We Do in the Shadows wrapped. We'll talk to you guys soon. Don't worry. We'll be back. See you later.
Okay.
Bat.
It's one of the hardest guitar pieces in the world to play.